live. Awesome. We're live. Caffeine. Yo, you'll see my hair in a second. I don't do that shit much, eh? I really don't. My TV's better than yours. It tilts back and forth. Yours don't do that. Well, this one is no good no more. This one is empty. Oh, 9/11. That's nice. I didn't even think about that. Oh, I got coins. Where did I get coins from, bro? Oh, damn. Don't do that. Oh, that's like having a run in the joint or a hole or some shit. Don't do that. There we go. Motherfucker. Don't get me worried like that. Solo. Says it right on the top. That's how you know it's mine.
For all the lands, behold, as they discuss the minutiae of everyday life. Some woven fabric folding lawn chairs. What's the pettiest thing you've been dumped for? How weird is that weirdo you work with?
The pettiest thing you've been dumped for? Finding out I wasn't white. Ha! Fuck, I was gonna put that as the title of the video too. Half white status.
Should be as easy as switching to RBC.
Switching to RBC is the new easy. So easy that setting up bill payments is as simple as snapping a pic with the RBC mobile app. Open an all-inclusive account by January 31st to get $300. Conditions apply.
680 News Time 3:11.
Traffic and weather together.
3:11.
Is Christine Langos.
This report is brought to you by Martin Daniel Interiors. We have construction set up on the eastbound 407 east of Gorway in the 3 right lanes. And the ramp to the 427 is closed. The ramp to Bathurst also closed. The ramps from Jane and from northbound Bathurst to eastbound 407, they've all been closed because of road work. On the eastbound 401, looking at volume delays from Winston Churchill to Mavis. It's heavy going from the 410 over to Dixie in the collectors mainly. And then we have slowdowns approaching Dixon to the 400 Express to Kiel in the collectors and a bunch up through Warden in the collectors. On the westbound 401, now it's slow from Warden Express, 404 collectors to Avenue Road. It's heavy from Islington Express to Dixon, and it's heavy going from approaching here Ontario collectors to west of Mavis. Northbound John Valley Parkway, still a slow go anywhere from approaching Dawn Mills up towards York Mills. And southbound 404 Dawn Valley is slow from approaching Shepherd to south of Lawrence. Leaving downtown, you'll find delays on the westbound Gardner Queenie from Jervis to west of Jameson. From the Humber Bridge to Royal York, it's slow going from Dixie to west of Cawthra, and still a bit busy from Appleby to west of Guelph Line. On the eastbound QE Gardner, it's slow approaching Mississauga Road to Dixie from the Humber Bridge to Parkside. And hearing about a crash blocking lanes on Simcoe Street south of Port Perry. Buy more and save more during the inventory sale at Martin Daniel Interiors. Save 25 to 70% on the finest European furniture and accessories. Visit martindaniel.com. Your next report is at 3:21. Now with the forecast, here's Michelle Mackey.
Christine, a cold and below seasonal day again with a gusty, bitter wind making it feel like -3. Winter jacket and maybe an umbrella needed as well. We do have the slight chance of a passing shower this afternoon.
Don't fuck with the umbrella. It's windy as fuck out there, man.
Overnight, the low is 3 degrees.
Bring an umbrella out, you're going to lose
closer to seasonal. The high is 6 degrees. 8 is where we should be, but hey, we'll take it better than today. But unfortunately, more cloud cover and afternoon showers tomorrow. It's currently 4 degrees downtown and sitting at our guaranteed high at Pearson. It's 3 degrees.
What the fuck did I just do?
680 News Time, 3:13.
Still to come on 680 News, sweeping the clouds away with sunny days for half a century, an iconic children's series celebrates 50 years. We'll have the details on that after your top stories straight ahead.
680 News Time, 3:14.
Oh, fuck, we missed the top of the very top of the hour, didn't we?
Tried to find a Minotaur for a parking spot.
That's rough. Hey, I heard Medusa from accounting turned another intern to stone.
Wow, she really needs a vacation. What's for lunch today?
In case you were wondering, we don't always sleep with this shit on. We have to put it on when we get up.
It's not a myth. Now you can enjoy Jimmy's Greek-style poutine, topped off with your choice of gyro or chicken souvlaki. Available for a limited time. So when you're craving something great, you know what to say. Gimme Jimmy.
I have your coffee. What's wrong? I'm just stressed. I have to move 200 people to the 4th floor. Call by design. I have to find moving bins, install workstations, old furniture removal. Call by design. Find an IT team, storage, and hang pictures. Call by design. They do everything. Everything? Well, everything except getting your people to stop popping the bubble wrap.
By Design Commercial Moving Solutions. We move small offices to large warehouses and everything in between. When you look good, it's By Design. Contact us at bydesignofficemovers.com.
Look at sick.
This is All News Radio, 680 News.
It's overcast, 4 degrees, feeling like -2 in downtown Toronto. Good afternoon from the 680 News Broadcast Center. I'm Asher Broad.
And I'm Caitlin Lee. Here are the top stories this hour.
Hundreds of people and dozens of advocacy groups, including the Ontario Health Coalition, gathered at Nathan Phillips Square today, protesting the Ford government's reported plan to leave municipalities on the hook for 30% of public health care costs. Health Minister Christine Elliott has now responded, denying that the cuts are in the works. Police are still searching for a suspect after an early morning stabbing near Keele and Grand Ravine Drive just south of Finch. The victim suffered serious injuries but is expected to survive. And if you're
That's what Jermaine got shot. 235 grand.
Onto a shuttle bus. Today, there is no subway service on Line 1 between St. Clair West and King stations. Yes, that includes Union Station. And then tomorrow, there's no service between Bloor Young and Osgood. Time now for 680 Sports. And from Sportsnet 590, The Fan, we check in with Callum Ing. And Callum, not so great news for the Raptors on their superstar's health.
No, not at all. Kyle Lowry with a thumb injury. We'll get to that in just a second as we have an update. But tonight on Hockey Night in Canada, the Leafs are at home to Philly, and head coach Mike Babcock explained what to expect.
They're playing good. They're playing fast. They got 3 good lines. They got 6 good D. They come at you. I like the way they play. I like them in the second and third period in our game. I thought we were better in the first. I thought they were better than us in the majority of that game from that point on.
The Leafs and Flyers are on Sportsnet and CBC at 7. Happening now in the NHL in Stockholm, Sweden. The Lightning lead Buffalo 3-1. That one's in the third period now on Sportsnet 1. Coming up, 7 p.m. games. The Kings visit Montreal on City TV. Carolina is in Ottawa on Sportsnet 1. Later, the St. Louis Blues head to the Saddledome to play the Flames on Sportsnet and CBC at 10. To soccer, TFC getting ready for the MLS Cup final in Seattle. Greg Vanney said he will try to make use of Josie Altidore in tomorrow's 3 p.m. final. And Raptors news reports say a specialist says Kyle Lowry has a fractured left thumb. The All-Star will be reassessed in 2 weeks. Sports 15 and 45 past every hour or anytime on the home of Tim and Sid, now on radio and TV. Sportsnet 590, The Fan.
680 News Time, 3:17.
I'm bending over backwards to show you the flexibility of Meridian's 1-year cashable GIC. It has a 2.
Shit's about mother risk. Fucking, they're using tests that aren't definitive to say that people are using drugs and shouldn't have their kids. You know all this shit already if you follow this shit. In criminal law, due diligence is the only available defense to a crime that is one of strict liability, i.e., a crime that only requires an actus reus and no mens rea. That's the guilty mind, the intention to commit a crime. Once the criminal offense is proven, the defendant must prove on balance that they did everything possible to prevent the act from happening. And then its link says, mother risk tests felt like junk science, says lawyer in Colorado case. What went wrong? Lang's report exposed a litany of flaws in how mother risk conducted its tests. The picture that emerges very clearly is a case of flawed process, not flawed science. I'm going to read this whole thing, just this part here. Number one, the tests were preliminary. The tests performed by Mother Risk relied on the unconfirmed results of its enzyme-linked immunosorbent assay tests, ELISA. ELISA is often used as a screening tool before more in-depth tests are undertaken. It can be used in toxicology as a rapid presumptive screen for certain classes of drugs. It's useful if you need to screen a large number of samples when the presumption that only a small percentage will test positive, but it's not definitive and the results can be erroneously interpreted. The Mother Risk lab did not follow up its presumed positive ELISA results with follow-on in-depth tests. Therefore, the results simply could not be relied upon to provide the absolute certainty needed. As Craig Chatterton, a forensic toxicologist and a proponent of hair sample testing, correctly explains in the CBC report on Mother Risk, a preliminary test like ELISA can be spot on, but tragically for the families implicated, it can be 100% incorrect too. Susan Lang's report went on to say no forensic toxicology laboratory in the world uses ELISA testing the way MTDL Mother Risk did. Number two, Mother Risk had no written standard operating procedures. Number three, no transparency. Number four, inadequate training and oversight. Number five, a compromised chain of custody. A compromised chain of custody. In the CBC report into Mother Risk, one mother recalls how her second test was conducted after she disputed the first test results. Quote, with my second test, the hair was done in the social worker's office with the scissors out of her desk, tape off her desk, and cardboard from the trash. Her sample tested positive for crystal meth, but laughably, when she next saw her, quote, hair sample, the hair that allegedly belonged to her was longer and a different color. It should go without saying, but any robust testing process requires professionalism throughout. It's not just about testing the sample, but also about how the sample is collected and treated. The chain of custody is of paramount importance. Trusted professionals need to be present at every stage of the process, guided by the lab that will do the testing, and the procedures need to be the same for every single case. Might as well read this. Mother Risk hair test rejected by judge 22 years before scandal blew up. A Mother Risk expert testified for the defense in a Colorado murder case. The judge mocked the lab's processes, but the case remained virtually unknown in Ontario until now because you goddamn lawyers refuse to actually do your due diligence, which is typing in shit onto Google and seeing what comes up. You fucking useless pieces of crap. 22 years before controversy shuttered the Mother Risk lab, before its hair strand drug tests were deemed unreliable, before the outcomes of thousands of child protection cases were called into question, a Colorado court threw out Mother Risk's evidence in a hearing that foretold the crisis that is now playing out across Canada. The same failings identified in an independent review of Mother Risk in Ontario in 2015 were laid bare in the American criminal case in 1993. In a pre-trial hearing in a murder case in Adams County, Colorado, the hair testing evidence presented by former Mother Risk lab manager Julia Klein was blasted by the prosecutor as being so deficient that it gave, quote, legitimate researchers in this area a bad name, end quote. The judge who rejected Mother Risk's evidence compared the lab's process to one in which the scientist, quote, shot the arrow in the air, let it land, and then went and painted the target around the arrow, end quote. The Hospital for Sick Children's Mother Risk lab was criticized by the prosecutor, the judge, and two scientists, including the other witness for the defense, for failing to verify preliminary results with a confirmation test, not following standard operating procedures, the fact that it was a clinical lab operating as a forensic lab, there's a big difference there, and failing to meet the high bar for evidence to be accepted in court. All of these shortcomings were identified more than 2 decades later by retired Judge Susan Lang, who was appointed by the Ontario government to review Mother Risk after the Star reported on questions about the reliability of the lab's hair testing evidence. And here we go into the politics of the situation. That is a long ass fucking post.
Guaranteed high at Pearson. It's 3 degrees.
The excitement keeps building in Pickering. Introducing Universal City.
Yes, come
Tower
live
3.
next to the power plant.
Stunning lake views. 3 minutes from Pickering Town Center.
You won't live long enough to pay off the mortgage, and you won't have kids to inherit the property. Ha 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 ha.
1 minute from the GO train. Tower 3 from the mid 300s. Register today.
This little motherfucker is about to die.
That's universalcitycondos.ca.
Coming up at 3:30, hundreds took to Nathan Phillips Square today to protest the province's cuts to municipal health services across Ontario. 680's Jordan Reed will have more on the Deputy Premier's response. And if you're headed to the Maple Leafs game, to the Harbourfront, or to Queen West, your commute on the TTC could involve a shuttle bus. The details straight ahead.
680 News Time 324.
Paul Cook and Catherine Chute.
Weekday mornings starting at 5:30.
Breaking news, traffic, and weather. This is 680 News.
This portion of the news is brought to you by Babe Lure Radio. He was a member of the 1967 Stanley Cup winning Leafs, and now Eddie Shack is an author. He sat down with our Jeff Verhoeven.
Eddie Shack had a hockey career. 4 Stanley Cups with the Maple Leafs, knocked out Gordie Howe twice, like out cold.
This is 100 years
even
ago?
had a #1 song that bumped Nancy Sinatra off the charts.
No. Here comes Jack. He knocks it down and he gets it all right. He scores goals. He's got the knack. Eddie Shack.
And now his new book, Hockey's Most Entertaining Stories, is available through frameworthshop.com. Co-written by Sportsnet's Ken Reed, which was an easy process.
Imagine this for 8 hours a day, me and Eddie's just going story after story. And initially, you get your hockey database, you get your stories.
Why don't you just do a YouTube video, man? I ain't reading this motherfucker's book.
Would come
Fuck
up
out of here,
it's
man.
Just hilarious. I mean, guys like Wayne Gretzky, Bobby Hall, Phil Esposito contribute to the book.
I'm Jeff Verhoeven.
Dad, customers are asking about Black Friday. They want turntables and TVs and speakers and headphones, but they want the deals right now.
Right now works for me. Come to Babe Lure Radio, where we're offering Black Friday pricing right now.
Buy with confidence from a store you can trust.
And if our pricing does go lower for Black Friday, we'll absolutely refund you the difference.
There's only one.
If this sale doesn't work, we'll have another one.
For the right price.
I visit my dad every Sunday. We talk about how the kids are doing and whether our favorite team is going to make the playoffs. We catch up on family gossip, and I tell him all about Cousin Elaine's latest crazy business idea. I visit my dad under the oak tree where we buried him 7 years ago, and every week I look forward to catching up.
Love can live on after you're gone. At Mount Pleasant Group, we've been honoring memories for nearly 200 years. Visit MountPleasantGroup.com.
680 News Time 326.
Now the weekend business report.
I'm Chris McCusker. Plastic waste management continues to be an issue all around the world.
Burn it.
While many countries, including Canada, have moved to limit single-use plastics, better solutions are still being sought. John O'Barrick is the president of the Sparta Group, a green energy company based in Toronto.
We're in the business of essentially of upcycling waste materials and waste energy, finding a market for those.
And in one of the processes, you were actually able to convert plastic into diesel fuel.
Because it's made of fucking oil, stupid.
Plastic is concerned, you know, it was a godsend to us that we developed plastic, and the great thing was that it had the durability. It lasted for
we developed
1,000+ years.
It's great that we developed
it. That it lasted 1,000 years. So once you've trapped the carbon chains in the plastic, you've got to find ways to try to get it out as opposed to just letting it sit in landfills.
And you're still working on it.
We didn't actually
trust me, Badger,
develop it. We worked with people to develop it. We've got 2 different projects working out right now. In both cases, we're using pyrolysis, which is the sort of the cooking of the plastic in the absence of oxygen, where we make we sublimate it into gas and then distill the gas down into fuels, whether that's be diesel fuel, gasoline, kerosene, naphtha, depending on the temperature that you bring it down.
You're just recracking
the project was not just to prove that we could convert plastic into a fuel, but to actually prove to the world that you can turn trash or plastic trash into transport.
This is 97 cents.
Upcycling it by
This is
upcycling it into
$1.49.
form where
Why?
it's environmentally more viable.
It's 55% more for the steel that we can fucking recycle here in Toronto, where the apples came from.
For better ways to deal with plastics while reducing
This one can't be
greenhouse
recycled
gas
in
emissions.
Canada at all.
At the business center,
And they keep trying to give me concentrated juice. Go fuck yourself with your concentrate, bro.
I need money for approved.
Wait, that was mine.
Approved.
Hey,
Approved.
you own your home, so you are.
Approved.
Please stop.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just
Approved.
Oh, you got me. So I'm
Approved.
At Alpine Credits, we try to approve all home equity loan applications, regardless of your credit, age, or income. Find out more at alpinecredits.ca. Alpine Credits. Homeowners get approved. Fiscal license 12616 and 12617.
Hey y'all, I'm David Duke, co-owner of Bruce Chris Steakhouse in the GTA. I literally grew up in the steakhouse business, started washing dishes, and have done every job in the restaurant. I learned from the very best, Miss Ruth Patel, the founder of Bruce Chris Steakhouse. I called her Aunt Ruth.
Damn,
I
all these
promise you, my
notifications,
friend,
they don't
that
mean
our
nothing. It's
steak
nothing.
broiled at 1800 degrees and served sizzling is the best steak that you'll ever have. And don't forget, as Lana says,
Come hungry, darling.
Right now in downtown Toronto, we have an overcast sky. It is 4 degrees, feeling like -2. Lucas Castelletto's The Afternoon Show. Editor Brittany Dooley is at the audio desk. It's 3:30.
I got a Rizzler full of dead guys.
News in Toronto. This is 680 News.
Here are Asher Ross and Caitlin Lee.
Good afternoon. It's Saturday, November 9th.
And good afternoon. Here's what's making news right now.
Hundreds of people in protest of cuts to public health services. Provincial Health Minister Christine Elliott says there are none.
Police investigating in the area of Trethewey and Black Creek Drive after a man walked into a police station with life-threatening gunshot wounds.
Remembrance Day just 2 days away, but there
You
are
want to
events
live, you
happening
get yourself
this
to
weekend
emergency
to honor
services. Don't be
our
waiting
war
for the fucking
veterans.
ambulance.
One expert says your smartphone is stealing your life.
You're not experiencing anything else. You're just taking in a one-dimensional view of life.
We'll take a look at your addiction coming up.
Before
I talk to the whole world to this shit.
is encouraged about one star. The Raptors kept bad news about Kyle Lowry, and the Leafs host the Flyers tonight. Sports at 45.
And coming up in business, even so-called unicorn companies need a path to profitability, according to a Wall Street CEO. We'll hear from David Solomon of Goldman Sachs.
680 News Time, 3:31.
Time for traffic and weather together on the ones. Here is Christine Lightos.
This report is brought to you by Alternative Savings on the westbound 401 at Avenue Road in the collectors. The left lane is now blocked to the collision. It looks like emergency crews have arrived on scene. And westbound 401 is slow through Kennedy in the collectors from approaching the 404, alternately expressing collectors across to Avenue Road, where we have this problem in the collectors. And westbound 401 slows is Lincoln Express to Dixon, here Ontario to Weston Mavis. And I'm seeing a delay approaching Guelph line as well. Eastbound 401, that's heavy from Winston Churchill to Mavis, from the 410 to Dixie in the collectors, approaching Dixon to the 400 Express to Keele in the collectors, a bit slow from Bayview to Leslie in the collectors, and you'll find it slow going to Warden in the collectors as well. On the northbound Don Valley Parkway, that's really filling in from north of Bayview Bloor to York Mills, but I'm not spotting any problems. It just appears to be volume of traffic. Southbound 404 Don Valley is also slow from south of Finch to south of Lawrence, and lots of delays on the westbound Gardner Queenie from the DVP to west of Jameson, Humber Bridge to Royal York, 427 to west of Cawthron,
Got the
and
good
just
ones.
having a look through Guelph line. Yeah, it's still
Some of these
busy
roads
through
ain't
here
got
as well.
fuck all in 'em,
On the
eh?
eastbound Huey Gardner, you'll find it slow through Royal Windsor, from southbound to Dixie, and from the Humber Bridge to Parkside. Wake up your savings with our scary good rates. Visit alterna.ca to learn more. Your next report is at 3:41. Now with the forecast, here's Michelle Mackey.
Christine, another cold and below seasonal day today. The wind chill is -2 right now. I did not wear a hat and mitts today. Do not make my mistake. You need the winter gear. It's really quite cold out there. Cloudy with a chance of showers this afternoon. If we do see a shower, it won't be long-lived, but the umbrella Always a good idea. The wind is quite strong, gusting to about 45 kilometers an hour right now out of the south-southwest. Overnight, we dropped to a low of 3 degrees, and after midnight, could see a rain-snow mix. It's currently 4 downtown and sitting at a guaranteed high of Pearson. It's 3 degrees.
680 News Time, 3:33.
Perplexed over cuts to public health. A large crowd of protesters gathered at Nathan Phillips Square earlier today, speaking out against province-wide efficiencies.
680's Jordan Reed joins us live with an update. Jordan.
Asher, Natalie Mera, the executive director of the Ontario Health Coalition.
It's been 30 years since the Berlin Wall fell. Jesus,
needs more funding now more than ever.
Planning to cut 2 special funds for long-term care homes. This amounts to a massive outflow of hundreds of millions of dollars to municipalities who either have to cut the long-term care and public health services or raise municipal taxes in order to maintain those services.
Provincial Health Minister Christine Elliott said public health services will not be touched this year and improvements are being made.
That we are going to start a dental program for 100,000 low-income seniors. It's $90 million, and that is going to be a provincial responsibility. That is also a matter of public health, that we recognize that each local public health unit needs to be able to respond to the needs of its particular community. And so we are taking responsibility for some of the bigger picture items that are the province's responsibilities.
I asked her why there was a disconnect between the Health Coalition and the ministry.
Well, I would certainly look forward to speaking with Ms. Mera and indicating to her what the true state of affairs is.
Protesters say they will continue to rally every Saturday until they see changes. Reporting live, I'm Jordan Reed.
You're gonna come out every week. You didn't tell anybody about this one.
Police say one man has suffered life-threatening injuries after an apparent shooting in the city's West End. They believe the incident happened in the area of Terthui and Black Creek Drive shortly before 3 o'clock this afternoon. The male victim, believed to be in his 30s, walked into a police station with serious injuries. Police say they're now assisting with an emergency run. Todd Bayless Boulevard is closed at Terthui and Black Creek Drive for the investigation. Stay with 680 News for more on this story as it develops.
Todd Bayless,
the
piece of shit that got shot by Clinton Gale. Almost got away with it too.
There's no subway service today between St.
Clinton gave me a sweater I used to wear.
One is closed today, so TTC can continue to install the automatic train control signaling system. Shuttle buses are running. Staff are on hand at each station to help customers. If you want to avoid those shuttle buses, you can take surface routes east to the Yonge portion of Line 1 and take that downtown. But keep in mind, Union Station is part of the closure.
The GTA is holding several different events to honor Remembrance Day this weekend. 680's Joey Keeney tells you about a few of them.
If you're looking for ways to commemorate our fallen soldiers, there are a number of events happening in the city this weekend. Casa Loma is hosting the Queen's Own Rifles Day today from 10 to 5. That features a display of military exercises, reenactments from the First and Second World War, and a performance by the Queen's Own Rifles Band. Tickets are between $20 to $30, but active and retired military personnel get in for free. Or you can visit a Toronto History Museum for a make-your-own.
You're gonna let me in for free because I ain't coming if you charge me money, asshole.
Today. There are also events happening at the Eaton Center and the Toronto Zoo. Remembrance Day is this Monday. I'm Joey Keeney.
680 News Time, 3:36. It's been called the Mississauga Miracle, the greatest Canadian disaster that never was. 40 years ago tomorrow, a 106-car Canadian Pacific freight train loaded with propane, chlorine, and other toxic chemicals derailed and caught fire in the suburban city. The emergency prompted the largest peacetime evacuation in Canadian history as more than 226,000 people fled. There were no casualties. Heritage Mississauga is honoring this anniversary and will host an event tomorrow at the Grange, located at 1921 Dundas Street West. A special guest speaker has yet to be announced. The event kicks off at 2 o'clock.
Grange. That's not Grange.
This is 680 News, All News Radio.
I got a fucking map book right here,
Canada
bitch.
says it has restored most of its wireless TV and internet services to customers after a large outage that spanned across the GTA this morning.
Oh, they're talking in Mississauga.
They were
Motherfucker,
working
that's
as
a long
quickly as
street.
possible to restore the service, which affected upwards of 3,000 customers. On Twitter, Bell Support apologized for the inconvenience, saying our team is working diligently to find the cause of those service disruptions. While some users are still reporting faulty services, Bell says most customers were up and running again by around noon.
I've had no problem.
3:38, Major League Soccer glory up for grabs tomorrow as Toronto FC and Seattle Sounders FC meet in the highly anticipated MLS Cup final.
For the third time in 4 years, Toronto FC will face the Seattle Sounders in the MLS Cup final. How did the previous two showdowns go? In 2016,
The Seattle Sounders have done it! MLS Cup winners in 2016!
while in 2017,
They're born in 2007. 10 years later, Toronto FC have risen to the top of Major League Soccer. They are your 2017 MLS Cup champs.
so tomorrow's winner will have the edge in the head-to-head final matchup. Josie Altidore's status for Toronto is up in the air. He's dealing with a strained quad and hasn't played in a month. And just a fun fact, Captain Michael Bradley is a free agent this offseason, but if TFC wins it all, it would trigger a one-year, $6.5 million extension. So we'll see what tomorrow brings. Game time is set for 3 at CenturyLink Field. From Sportsnet 590 The Fan, I'm Maria St-Aubin.
In 30 seconds, we'll check the prices at the pump.
680 News Time, 3:39.
As an interior designer, I know that the more unique the space, the more creative you can be. That's why I love the designer.
All right, some 87-year-old woman just got robbed by a dude. Look that up, you'll get pictures. Fucking 75%. How's this go again? I believe the statistic is 75% of gang-related shootings happen in or around vehicles. Male shot in vehicle at Brampton intersection. This was 6:19 yesterday, apparently. Oh, did I read this one already? It's the same picture. Did I read this one already? I did, apparently. It's up on the fucking page like it's new. No, it's the same picture, but it's not. It can't be the same story. Why'd you put the same picture? A 29-year-old man is in the hospital with maybe Brampton just looks like that, eh? I think it does. I think every intersection in Brampton looks like that. A 29-year-old man is in the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries after being shot in a vehicle at a Brampton intersection Friday. Peel police said they were called to Queen Street and Finchgate Boulevard just before 5:30 p.m. for a report of a shooting. Yeah, I don't think I covered this one at all. Police said the victim was driving through an intersection when another vehicle pulled up alongside them and opened fire. The driver sped home with the victim and called 911 from a residence. Motherfucker, you went straight back home? You're an idiot. The man was taken to a trauma center with non-life-threatening injuries. The passenger in the vehicle was not injured. So there was, hold on. So which one? So there's a victim, the driver, and a passenger. Investigators said they are searching for a red sedan that was it a Honda Civic, motherfucker? A red sedan that was seen traveling southbound on Finchgate Boulevard from Queen Street to Clark Boulevard, then toward Torbram Road or the Bramley area. It was previously reported by police a blue pickup truck was seen fleeing the scene, but later said the truck is not believed to be the suspect vehicle. Police are asking blah, 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 call Crime Stoppers. This is GF. Another day in the city that used to be Brampton. Jane and Finch / Rexdale overflowed. ... More and more violent crime. A baggage-laden politician, I'll get to that in a second, who picked a city name out of a hat, decided to go there to run for mayor, and was elected by clowns who don't care about where they live. Start earning that huge salary, Patrick. So Patrick Brown was the leader of the provincial Conservative Party up until this year, when two girls said that he raped them or something. Then it turned out that those two girls had never met him before in their life. They had descriptions of his house, like, oh, he shut the door. And then when they take pictures of the house, there's no door from the bedroom to the hall. There is no door, so he couldn't have shut no door, right? just shit like that. The Conservative Party threw him the fuck out. Doug Ford, Mayor, Rob Ford's brother, Rob Ford, Mayor, 233-6934. No shit. Fucking Patrick Brown decides to run for mayor of Brampton and fucking wins. And now the only issues they have is all about Toronto's gun violence overflowing over there. So the provincial legislator people are sort of shitting on him for that in the public too. Man wanted for allegedly robbing woman. Yeah, I can't really show you the pictures. So it's just early morning. I don't think I could re-roll that, but why? I could just burn it. Today, 7:27 a.m. Early morning, North York stabbing sends one to hospital. A man suffered serious injuries after being stabbed at a plaza on Keele Street, just north of Shepherd Avenue West. And there is a Tim Hortons and a No Frills. Wow. An early morning stabbing in North York has sent one man to hospital with serious injuries. It appears the stabbing occurred just after 6 a.m. at a plaza on Keele Street near St. Regis. Remember, it's Friday night. 6 a.m. Saturday to us is Friday night. That ain't Saturday yet. And the fucking moon is almost full. Everybody just got paid yesterday and the week before. It appears the stabbing occurred just after 6 a.m. at a plaza on Keele Street near St. Regis Crescent, just north of Shepherd Avenue West. The victim was found with multiple stab wounds at an apartment complex across the street and rushed to a trauma center. No word yet on any suspect descriptions as police continue to investigate. Oh, it'll be sports. Hold on. It'll be sports. Fuck you. You have to understand there's only 2 media companies in Canada. We got 1 news station for the whole city. And you go to any other city, they got another dozen of the same company stations being the news for the whole fucking country. Eh? You want control? That's control, man. You see me holding this shit up like this to this side is because I got laser surgery on this side, PRK, fucking like fighter pilots and shit get. Fucking this eye is 2800. This eye is better than 2020. So if I need to see fine print on this fucking eye. Best $1,990 I could have spent.
Series, Tampa has extended their lead to 5-2 on the Sabres in the third period. Coming at 7 p.m. games, the Kings visit Montreal on City TV, Carolina and Ottawa on Sportsnet 1. Later, the St. Louis Blues head to the Saddledome to play the Flames on Sportsnet and CBC at 10. To soccer, TFC getting ready for Sunday's MLS Cup final in Seattle. Head coach Greg Vanney said he is encouraged by Josie Altidore's progress, and the Star may play in the final against Sounders FC tomorrow at 3. Meantime, the Toronto Raptors have Kyle Lowry's fracture. It's in his left thumb. He will be reevaluated in 2 weeks. Sports at 15 and 45 past every hour or anytime in the home of Tim and Sid, now on radio and TV. Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
680 years, John, 347.
You text it, DM it, say it 5 times a week. Let's grab a drink soon, ? It should be more like, let's grab a drink soon, ! Because not everyone who says it does it. If you miss your crew, why wait for them to make plans? Hit someone up you said it to 3 weeks ago. You'll laugh, catch up, remember the good times. So will they. When's the last time you made a drink soon happen? JP Weisers. Hold it high. Please enjoy responsibly.
That one's good in coffee.
What's
I
up?
did it
It's
that
Joe Brown
much.
here to tell you what City TV's got going on. Now, this is exciting. I'm pumped about this. You know the Chicago series, right?
That's
Chicago
right. Marijuana,
Men,
caffeine,
Chicago
nicotine,
Fire,
and
Chicago
whiskey all at
PD.
once. That's me in the morning.
One of the biggest franchises in TV right now, and it's all on one night, Wednesday night. That's right. So do what you got to do to clear your schedule and settle in for the best drama night of the week. Chicago Wednesdays starting at 8, 7 Central, only on City TV. 680 News Time, 3:48.
A sweet taste of freedom, a chocolate Berlin Wall has bit the dust in Paris.
Made with 440 pounds of chocolate, the wall replica was scrawled with the words freedom, and in German, I am a Berliner. Just as Berliners
I am a
smashed
donut.
chunks out of their concrete wall on November 9, 1989, store owner Patrick Roger and an assistant attacked the replica.
It's a little different when they call us
The wall
Micmacs
shuffling
or
into hundreds of
Micmacies.
pieces.
The same
Sweet
shit.
chunks were then distributed to applauding bystanders. Roger said it felt amazing to share the taste, the values, and a certain wind of liberty. I'm Charles Ledesma.
This is the last weekend of the 97th Annual Royal Agricultural Winter Fair, a place where you can check out the best in agricultural, food, and equestrian competitions our country has to offer. The fair has been a staple in Toronto since 1922. Today is historically the biggest and busiest day of the fair, as loads of families and competitors will be on site to take in those sights. Whether we want to admit it or not, Canadians are addicted to their smartphones. Stats show the average person will now check their phone at least 63 times a day. As we hear from 680 Steve Roberts, one expert is warning we're slowly becoming victims of secondhand screens.
It's almost become second nature. You hear that familiar buzz. Or that other sound. No, that's not your phone, but you couldn't help but look, right? Catherine Price is the founder of ScreenLifeBalance.com and says the impact of secondhand screens is real.
Even if you are not on your phone, if someone next to you is on their phone, then it might make you feel less valued in the conversation. But even if it's a stranger, it's going to make you want to check your own phone and kind of take you out of your own environment just by seeing somebody else so entranced by this object.
Price says people need to be present, and if you get together with friends and everyone's on their phone, you're probably better off just staying at home. I'm Steve Roberts.
In 1
So I
minute,
got
we'll
the
check the
phone. You
roads as well as
motherfuckers
your
don't have to come
extended
here. We can
forecast.
talk now.
680
Go away.
News Time, 3:50.
Catch all the excitement of your favorite slots and table games at Casino Woodbine. Sign up for a free One Rewards membership today, and you could be eligible to get your first $250 on us. Need a lift? We've added new Toronto shuttle bus routes that will take you right to our front doors. Must be 19 plus. Rewards membership.
I am the last Boy Scout. I am prepared, motherfuckers. I am fucking prepared, motherfucker.
Entertainment. Thanks for your patience, Ontario. It's here, and it's bigger and better than ever. National Sports' biggest sale of the year. The Big 60. Savings on outerwear,
Which one am I going to read for people next?
almost everything. Shop in store or online at nationalsports.com. It's the sale you've been waiting for. The Big 60.
30-year anniversary of the Berlin Wall. We know.
680 News Time, 3:51.
Time for traffic and weather together on the ones. Here is Christine Langos.
This report is brought to you by Transat on the eastbound 401, looking at delays still from Winston Churchill to Mavis. It bunches up through Dixie and the collectors. Then we have delays 427 to the 400 Express to Kiel in the collectors. And there's still a crash here on the westbound 401 at Avenue Road in the collectors. The two left lanes are blocked off. Lots of emergency crews on scene. And it's slow going from Warden and the Express to Leslie in the collectors across to Avenue Road. Westbound 401 also heavy from Islington Express to Dixon. Your Ontario collectors to west of Mavis and from west of Highway 25 to approaching Guelph Line. On the northbound Don Valley Parkway, it looks like things are smoothing out, but it's still heavy going from approaching Don Mills to York Mills. Southbound 400 is slow just at the bottom end from south of Shepherd to the 401 ramps. And we have delays on the southbound 404 Don Valley anywhere from approaching Shepherd over the 401 to south of Lawrence. On the westbound Gardner, plenty of volume here from the Don Valley Parkway to west of Jameson and from the Humber Bridge out towards Royal York. Westbound QEW slows 427 to west of Cawthra. Delays even on the northbound 410 today from north of Steeles to north of Queen. Eastbound QEW that bunches up through 3rd through Royal Windsor and from southbound to Dixie. Eastbound Gardner, a delay from the Humber Bridge to Dufferin, and it's slow going through that construction from York to the DVP. Transat's Family Time promo is on now. Save up to 40% on South packages if you book by November 17. Book at Transat.com. Transat Vacation is calling. Your next report is at 4:01. And now with the forecast, here's Michelle Mackey.
Christine, it's gray, gloomy, and gusty today. Winter jacket and maybe an umbrella needed. We do have the slight chance of a passing shower this afternoon. We could see a rain-snow mix develop through the overnight with a low of 3 degrees. That means we won't see any accumulation. Tomorrow we are a bit closer to seasonal, the high 6 degrees, but you guessed it, more cloud cover and afternoon showers. And do you have your winter tires on yet? Monday, the high is only -1. Couple that with the developing system moving in for the afternoon, and we could see 5 to 10 centimeters of snow for the evening commute. If you don't have your snow tires on, do so this weekend. Currently 4 degrees downtown and sitting at our guaranteed high.
You think you're getting in this
3
week?
degrees.
You're insane.
It's time to get that 649 feeling with a jackpot of an estimated $18 million. So start thinking of all the ways you'd spend it and all the people you'd spend it on. Because if you win the jackpot or the guaranteed $1 million prize, you'll have plenty of joy to spread around. The next Lotto 649 jackpot is an estimated $18 million, plus the guaranteed $1 million prize. It's a feeling you love to share. Get that 649 feeling.
The 680 News Cruiser is everywhere.
Live 24/7 from the streets in your neighborhood.
Covering the latest breaking news, traffic, and weather.
No one covers local news like 680 News.
The 680 News Cruiser.
Powered by Don Valley North Toyota.
Breaking news, traffic, and weather. This is 680 News.
Police are investigating a stabbing in North York that has left a man with serious injuries. Investigators say they were called to a plaza at the intersection of Keel and Grand Ravine Drive around 6 o'clock this morning.
Did cover this one.
When officers
that's a different
arrived,
one.
they located the victim with multiple stab wounds. He was transported to a trauma center for treatment. Constable Alex Lee tells 680 News officials are urging witnesses to come forward.
Contact police with information, and you can do so by calling 416-808-2222 or call the local police station at 808-3100. And if you want to remain anonymous, to please use the Crime Stoppers tip line at 222-TIPS.
Police have yet
Use
to
the
release a
payphone, put a
suspect
payphone
description. In 60 seconds, we'll have your weekend business report. 680 News Time, 3:55.
Green Park and Starlane are proud to bring beauty to life, your life. Welcome to Mountain View Heights, an oasis community in beautiful escarpment country, featuring modern singles in the heart of Waterdown, nestled within a rich network of parks and trails, and featuring amenities and transit options. Waterdown is only 10 minutes from Oakville and offers savings of $300,000 to $600,000. Buy now. Only a few lots remain. Visit mountainviewheights.ca.
Rob Ford, former mayor of Toronto. Assistants tried to remove whatever beverage Rob had brought with him, and he had a complete meltdown.
Now someone's dead. There's a photo of the mayor with this young man.
Frequency Podcast Network.
There's a photo of him with a guy that got shot, so he must be a bad guy.
For politics
Fuck you.
today.
He was Trump before Trump was Trump.
The Gravy Train, the Rob Ford Podcast. Listen and subscribe for free with your favorite podcast player or at frequencypodcastnetwork.com. Find your frequency.
680 News Time, 3:56. Now time for your weekend business report.
I'm Richard
He died of cancer. They ain't saying
After
nothing
years
about
of unicorn
KFC,
companies
eh?
with multi-billion-dollar valuations and no earnings, it turns out that profit does matter. Shares of Uber hit a record low
You're
this
getting
week.
paid,
Money
Rob
losing
Ford,
Canadian
and
waste hauling
bitch.
giant GFL Environmental canceled an initial public offering. Goldman Sachs CEO David Solomon talks about the WeWork case, a much bigger IPO that was also called off.
Oh, I gotta go
Are
soon.
investors willing to pay for a company when they have the transparency of the real financial information that's been vetted and presented in an appropriate way? And when you have that, the market will speak. And so, using WeWork as an example, there was a lot of hype around that, but ultimately, when investors were able to have a discussion with real financial information and provide feedback and work with an underwriting group to work with a company. There was a pretty clear view as to where the company could go public.
But in the same interview with Bloomberg, the Goldman Sachs CEO says he doesn't see parallels to the crash of dot-com companies.
We can debate the valuations, but there's certainly real companies, and I think that's very, very different than that narrow slice of time, during the dot-com bubble.
Solomon says the unicorns are powered by the search for alternatives to low interest rates.
That has incented lots of companies to take the capital they're raising from investors and spend it very aggressively to drive top-line growth without really understanding the consequence of how that can translate to profitability. And I think the market here is kind of speaking and telling people, you know what, let's rein that in a little bit. It's important for people to grow, but there's got to be a clear and articulated path to profitability, to earnings in some way, shape, or form. I'm a big believer that over time, a company can only be worth, over time, the discounted future value of its earnings. And so it's important that you have a business model ultimately that can generate.
Well, that's like saying 1 equals 1, you motherfucker.
Coming into play, and I think that's helpful for markets.
Goldman Sachs CEO David Solomon. In the Business Center, I'm Richard Denman.
Holiday excitement. It's only worth the discounted earnings in the future. Yeah, you moron. You know that.
On a Sony 65-inch 4K smart TV.
Use all those words make yourself sound smart.
At Best Buy and BestBuy.ca.
Out for a drive, are you? That's bold. Have you seen how snowy I am? And how about my potholes? Yes, of course, there's ice. Black ice. And you can't even see it. And there's a tree down, but I won't tell you where.
Winter roads are evil. Be prepared. Get a set of 4 Hankook winter tires by December 31st and get up to $60 back.
Oh, what is this? I don't want this related pages shit. Get out of
Holiday
here.
excitement starts at Best Buy with the best tech gifts. This week, save $500 on a Sony 65-inch 4K smart TV. Get exciting gifts for everyone on your list at Best Buy and BestBuy.ca.
We make sure you're the first to know.
680 News. Checking some regional conditions. Up in Erin, overcast +1. Feeling more like a chilly -5. In Newmarket, +2 and overcast. Richmond Hill, 2 degrees and overcast. In Brenton, it is 3 degrees with some clouds. Over in Hamilton, overcast and +2. Oakville, 3 degrees and overcast. Similar conditions in Milton. In downtown Toronto, +4 with some clouds. It's 3 at Pearson Airport. The News Watch never stops. 680 News is CFTR AM Toronto. 680 News Time, 4 o'clock.
Number 1 for breaking news, traffic, bad weather. This is 680 News, Toronto.
Here are Asher Ross and Caitlin Lee.
Good afternoon. This is Saturday, the 9th of November.
Here's what's making news this hour.
Toronto Police Number 12 Division headquarters has been roped off as a crime scene after a man walked into the station critically injured.
2 people lucky to be alive
12
after
Division
escaping a house fire.
substations located around the corner, even though this is 11 Division.
Help cuts made by the Ford
And
government.
they moved the 11 Division
Ontario
station
Minister
right next
of
to it. I don't know these
Christine
fucking people
Elliott
out there.
responds.
Rainbow poppies, they're stirring up outrage online, but is there actually a mainstream movement to use them in Canada? We take a closer look. Coming up tonight, the Leafs host Philly. Josie Altidore could be available for TFC in tomorrow's MLS Cup final, and an injury update for Kyle Lowry. Sports at 15.
And coming up in business, is your commute to work leaving you stressed out? Well, you are not alone. A new poll finds more than a third of us find our commute stressful. 680 News Time, 4:01.
It's time for traffic and weather together on the ones and checking your drive on the 401 and all the other major routes. Christine Langos.
And this report is brought to you by your Toronto area Ford dealers. Well, why not start with the 401? We have plenty of problems here. Westbound 401 at Avenue Road in the collectors. Still a collision here blocking the 2 left lanes. And because of that, a slow go from Warden Express and from Leslie in the collectors. And then westbound 401 at Keele in the collectors. A stalled vehicle is taking up the right lane. Westbound 401 a bit busy from Kipling to Dixon, here Ontario to west to Mavis, and from west of Highway 25 to approaching Guelph line. On the eastbound 401, a slow go from Winston Churchill to Mavis. It's still busy through Dixie in the collectors. collectors. And eastbound 401 is also heavy as you make your way from the 427 to the 400 Express. At Keel in the collectors, it's busy from Bayview to Leslie in the collectors. It's also a slow go through Warden in the collectors. And then we have this problem eastbound 401 approaching Markham Road in the collectors. That's where the right lane is blocked. So it's slow on the approach to Markham Road in the collector lanes mainly. Northbound Don Valley Parkway still heavy going approaching Don Mills to York Mills. And at the bottom end of the South 400, we have volume from south of Shepherd to the East 401 ramps. Southbound 404 Don Valley is busy approaching Shepherd over the 401 to south of Lawrence. And so plenty of volume leaving downtown on the westbound Gardner Queen E. You'll find delays from the 420, from the Don Valley Parkway rather, to west of Jameson, Humber Bridge to Royal York, and westbound QEW is heavy from Project Dixie to west of Cawthra, still busy through Guelph Line. Delays on the eastbound QE Gardner through Walkers, through 3rd, through Royal Windsor, from South End to Dixie, and from the Humber Bridge to Dufferin. Get 0% purchase financing for up to 60 months plus over $8,200 in total value on select new F-150 models. Visit findyourford.ca. Your next report is at 4:11, and now with the forecast, here's Michelle Mackey.
Christine, we are still dealing with that blustery wind, gusting now to 36 kilometers an hour out of the south-southwest. It's cold and below seasonal again this evening. The wind chill feeling like -2 right now. I wore my winter jacket and recommend you do the same if you're heading out this evening. Cloud cover for the remainder of the day and then through the overnight, dropping down to a low of 3. Could see a rain-snow mix after midnight. Gloomy weather continues Sunday, cloudy with the chance of showers and 6 degrees. It's currently 4 degrees downtown and sitting at our guaranteed high at Pearson. It's 3 degrees.
680 news time, 4:03.
We begin with breaking news from the city's Mount Dennis area, where a man has been rushed to hospital after walking into a police station with life-threatening gunshot wounds. Police tell 680 News the man entered the number 12 division station at Trethewey Drive
number 12.
just after 3 this afternoon. His injury is considered to be serious.
Police say they do not know exactly where the shooting occurred. 12 Division has been taped off as a crime scene. There's no suspect description at this time. Todd Bayless Boulevard at Industry Street and Trethewey Drive and Black Creek Drive are both closed for the investigation. Stay with 680 News for more as this story develops.
680 News time, 4:04. We also have breaking news from the city's north end, where an adult and a child were rescued after a 2-alarm fire at a house in North York. Toronto Fire received a call just after 3 this afternoon to the Parkwoods Village and Combermere Drive area just west of Victoria Park. Captain David Eckerman says the original call came from the owner of the home.
As firefighters arrived, we found heavy smoke visible from the exterior. Immediately upgraded the call to a second alarm. We've since removed 2 people from this residence.
The fire is still active, but has since been knocked down, and all residents have been removed from the home.
Hundreds of people, including dozens of advocacy groups, gathered at Nathan Phillips Square today to protest sweeping cuts to municipal public health services. 680's Jordan Reed has more.
The protest was led by Natalie Mera, the executive director of the Ontario Health Coalition, who announced what the Ford government was eliminating.
25 of 35 hard units, 49 of 59 local ambulance services, 12 of 22 local ambulance dispatch centers.
Ontario Minister of Health Christine Elliott said there will be no effects on taxes and no changes to public health funding this year.
I don't really understand what the protest is about, because there have been no cuts to public health. We have listened to the concerns that have been expressed to us by municipalities, and they indicated that they needed more time to deal with the changes that we were bringing forward.
She also mentioned that she would like to have a conversation with Natalie Mera to discuss the facts. I'm Jordan Reed.
This portion of the news is brought to you by Niagara Falls View Casino. Another weekend, another subway closure to be aware of. There is no subway service today on Line 1, the Young University Spadina line between King around the loop to St. Clair West Station. That's because crews are installing the automatic train control signaling system. Shuttle buses are running across those affected stations. If you want to avoid them, you can take surface routes east to the Young portion of Line 1, north of St. Clair West, and then you can take the Young portion down as far as King Station. And all the affected stations along the closure are open except for DuPont Station.
No TV, no internet, and no phone services on a weekend morning. That's what happened to some Bell customers across the GTA with disruptions with their service provider. Bell Canada says it has restored most wireless internet and TV services to affected customers in the area after major disruptions this morning. The company tells 680 News it's still investigating what caused it all. The outages prompted such a large reaction on social media that Bell was trending on Twitter.
680 News Time, 4:07. Some crippling news for the Toronto Raptors as the defending champs are going to be without Kyle Lowry and Serge Ibaka for the next little while, including Monday's pivotal game against the Claw and his new team, the Clippers. Sportsnet 590 The Fan's Callum Ming reports.
On Friday in New Orleans, Raptors All-Star Kyle Lowry didn't finish the game with a left thumb injury. Today, the update is in. Reports say a specialist diagnosed Lowry with a fractured left thumb. He will be reevaluated in 2 weeks, so it's not a great time injury-wise for Toronto, because also on Friday against the Pelicans, Serge Ibaka hurt his right ankle. Reports say Ibaka is out indefinitely. From Sportsnet 590 The Fan, I'm Callum Ming.
The city of Toronto honoring Canadian veterans this weekend ahead of Remembrance Day Monday. Malia Sheikh of City News has more on displays that have been popping up.
Over 12,000 Canadian flags have been planted here on the front lawn of Manulife to honor the more than 120,000 members of Canadian Armed Forces who have fallen in service. A stunning sight which took 40 volunteers and 4 hours to complete, make an impact on anyone who walks by.
I don't think we intended for anyone to stop by and take photos, but it is such a beautiful sight.
Premier Doug Ford also not waiting until November 11th to remember lives lost. Ford unveiled the design of a new memorial, which will be built at the Ontario Legislature to honor Canadian heroes of the war in Afghanistan. Malia Sheikh, City News, Toronto.
Meantime, Rainbow
I don't see you
Poppies
giving
have been
cigarettes and
causing
coffee
outrage
to
online,
homeless
with
veterans,
some even signing
motherfucker.
an online petition that calls on
I
the
see
Prime
you.
Minister to
I know you're
intervene.
invisible,
As
shadow
Mark
people in the
McMahon
trees and shit,
explains,
but I see you.
it looks like the whole thing is nothing more than a misinformation campaign.
There's an artist selling rainbow poppies online, and some suggestion a British group put it forward as an option. But there doesn't appear to be any major LGBTQ organization in this country promoting rainbow poppies.
People tend to trust online media posts wrongly and unfortunately because their friends share them, perhaps. You see these posts on Facebook, you see them in intimate settings.
That's Flyers and journalism professor Marcia Barber, who reminds us we all need to be more critical in how we approach posts we see online. I'm Martin McMahon.
We'll check gas prices in 30 seconds. 680 News Time, 4:09.
This is 680 News. 98 degrees.
Yeah, fuck off. 98 degrees. Oh, fuck. So Jeezy Loke says, I'm half white, eh? And that means something in like the North American black community, but it doesn't mean anything under the law in Canada. It means nothing in the South in the US. If you're half white, you're still black or Indian, unless you're Indian, and then you get half status. And if your half status kids hook up with non-status people, the status is eliminated from the bloodline. It's bullshit. That's why I don't say, oh, I'm half white. And my brother, the same thing, because his mother looks black. That's the difference. And fucking, he looks like me, motherfucker, to the point where the police will pull me over. Hey, Jason, come here. I'm not Jason, bro. Yeah, I'll prove it. They don't believe it. 2 independent drug traffickers, no connection whatsoever except their brothers. Go figure. And I'm not talking about my doppelganger. I don't know who the fuck that guy is. He just looks like me. So if you're looking for me and you see some guy looks like me, but he's dressed like a white boy, fucking doing the white boy thing, not me, brethren. Blast him, you're gonna have problems, and it ain't gonna be from my side. You're just gonna bring heat on yourself. I gotta go, so I don't gotta go, but I'm gonna go soon. So I'm gonna roll up another roach thing and smoke that and then leave.
Schools for students in grades 7 to 12. Visit appleby.on.ca to learn more.
680 News Time 411, keeping the roads nice and clean. Here's Christine.
This report is brought to you by Design Office Movers. Well, one of our problems have been cleared away. I can't say it's thanks to me, but westbound 401 and Avenue Road in the collectors.
We know,
Collision has
honey,
been cleared and all lanes have been
radio
reopened.
voice.
It's slow from Warden in the Express and from Leslie in the collectors. And westbound 401 remains busy from Kipling to Dixon, here Ontario to west of Mavis, and a slowdown west of Highway 25 to approaching Guelph Line. On the eastbound 401, you'll find it slow from Winston Churchill to Mavis, 427 to about the Allen Express to Keel in the collectors. And there's another crash on the eastbound 401. It's approaching Malcolm Road in the collectors. Right lane is blocked off. We have emergency crews on the shoulder. It's slow from McCowan in the collectors. If you're traveling on the northbound Don Valley Parkway, expect delays from Don Mills to York Mills. Southbound 400 quite slow from south of Shepherd to the 401 ramps. On the southbound 404 Don Valley, delays approaching Shepherd over the 401 to south of Loris before it picks up. And then plenty of volume on the westbound Gardner Queen combination from the Don Valley Parkway off and on out towards Royal York. And it's busy from the 427 to west of Cawthra also. Eastbound QE Gardner, I'm seeing delays from third line to about Royal Windsor. It's slow from southbound to Dixie. Eastbound Gardner is heavy from the Humber Bridge to the Spadina ramp, which looks to be quite slow, and then heavy from Spadina to Jarvis. Corporate moving is the worst, so get By Design to do it for you. From storage to installing workstations, even hanging pictures, they do everything. Visit ByDesignOfficeMovers.com. Your next report is at 421. Now with the forecast, here's Michelle Mackey.
Christine, evening temperatures are just over the freezing mark with wind chills around -3. So yes, you need the winter jacket and probably the hat and gloves and scarf too. Overnight, we could see some showers, maybe some wet snow mixed in. Tomorrow, a bit closer to seasonal, the high 6 degrees, but you guessed it, more cloud cover and afternoon showers. Could be worse though. Monday, we are talking about a daytime high of -1. That's not the bad part. The bad part is 5 to 10 centimeters of snow just in time for the afternoon commute. No, thank you. Currently 3 at Pearson and 4 downtown under mostly cloudy skies. Tonight's overnight low is 3 degrees.
680 News Time 413.
On November 14th, 20th Century Fox brings you Matt Damon, Christian Bale in the movie critics are calling one of the year's best films.
I don't know what either of those two dudes looks like, eh? I know you people think you're famous. Walk on my block looking for dope, motherfucker. I don't give a fuck who the fuck you are, motherfucker. You've been on TV, eh? That's nice. Like Wanda Sykes said, TV paid for the TV. So who's watching that TV? You, not me. So these are all these Jamaican Rasta teams on these ones. Come on, straighten up. Motherfucker. Man, these ones here are not. Let's just mix that up. Fuck, man. Why you gotta fucking keep moving around and things? I think it'd be easier since they're just little fucking pieces of fucking paper. It should be easier to line up, right? I don't know how many of these are gonna fit in here. Nothing in that one. What the fuck? Get out of here. I ain't got nothing either. What the fuck? I was rolling them fucked up that day. I must have burned them right down to the tip that day. Get fucked up, so go to the next day's roaches. I got them all lined up in rows. I think that might be all that fits. No, I can fit 2 more. Give it 1 more. If I put too many in it, it's gonna rip anyway.
getting ready for the MLS Cup final in Seattle. Greg Vanney said he will try to make use of Josie Altidore in tomorrow's 3 p.m. final. And Raptors news reports say a specialist says Kyle Lowry has a fractured left thumb. The All-Star will be reassessed in 2 weeks. Sports at 15 and 45 past every hour or anytime in the home of Tim and Sid, now on radio and TV. Sportsnet 590.
680 news time, 4:17.
For big or small paint projects, the Home Depot is here to help save you money. Here you'll find top quality paint at warehouse prices. That's low prices every day on every gallon of high quality Behr paint, stains, and primers. And Pro Extra members can earn 10 to 20% back in rewards on qualifying Behr paint purchases. How much are you really paying per gallon? The Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Minimum spend required. See in store for details.
There's a reason you look people in the eye when you shake their hand. A reason you don't like being late for meetings and hate missing deadlines. That's why you put your customers first and pick your partners wisely. Because you know in business, reputation is everything.
You're speaking to me, baby. Pick your partners wisely. No shit.
Express, ground, and freight. Visit FedEx.ca/reason. FedEx, connecting people and possibilities.
680 news time, 4:18. In international news, Democrats and Republicans already are tussling over witnesses for next week's public hearings in the impeachment probe of U.S. President Donald Trump.
GOP members of the committees conducting the hearings have released a list of at least 8 people they want to hear from, among them former Vice President Joe Biden's son Hunter and the anonymous whistleblower. But Republicans need the committee's approval to summon their witnesses, and Democrats are in the majority. Chairman Adam Schiff offered a quick response, saying he won't let the hearings serve as a vehicle to conduct sham investigations into the Bidens or the 2016 election. Nor will he let the hearings aid what he calls Trump's effort to threaten, intimidate, and retaliate against the whistleblower. Ben Thomas, Washington.
He's been a staple of the weeknight game show host scene for decades, and Wheel of Fortune host Pat Sajak is now recovering from emergency surgery he had this past week. ABC's Diane Macedo has more.
The show revealed the news on Friday, posting on Twitter, "Our taping on Thursday was canceled because host Pat Sajak underwent successful emergency surgery to correct a blocked intestine. He's resting comfortably and looking forward to getting back to work." While the show is wishing 73-year-old Sajak a speedy recovery, taping resumed on Friday with Wheel of Fortune star Vanna White stepping in as host.
The pair have co-hosted that show since the early 80s. In Parkinson's Canada is hosting a number of educational events across Ontario this weekend, including here in Toronto. The information sessions are for those living with Parkinson's, caregivers, families, and the surrounding healthcare community. Today's event is being held at the Toronto Botanical Garden on Lawrence Avenue East. It's wrapped up at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Admission is $10 for students and $15 general admission. You can hear from a number of keynote speakers, including neurologists and patient advocates. In 60 seconds, a check of the roads and your extended forecast. 680 news time, 4:20.
Tonight at 8, Detective Reggie Stronghold makes solving crime look as easy as switching to RBC.
Switching to RBC is the new easy. Switch by January 31st and you can receive up to $1,100 in combined value. Other terms and conditions apply. Visit rbc.com/switching bonus.
As headmaster of St. Andrews College in Aurora, I'm often asked by parents why our school is right for their son.
The second you enter, you know you're a part of something truly amazing. There are tons of arts and extracurricular activities.
71 teams, 21 sports. There are so many opportunities to become a leader. 100% of our students are accepted to university.
The teachers sincerely care. They push you to do your best.
And I have brothers for life.
Experience for yourself what a St. Andrews College Day or boarding program can offer your son. Join us for our open house on November 19th.
Details at sac.on.ca.
Tonight at 8, Detective Reggie Stronghold makes solving crime look as easy as switching to RBC.
Switching to RBC is the new easy. Switch by January 31st and you can receive up to $1,100 in combined value. Other terms and conditions apply. Visit rbc.com/switching bonus.
680 news time, 4:21. Traffic and weather together on the ones. Here's Christy Langos.
This report is brought to you by Ultrana Savings. Here on the westbound 401, expect delays from Warden Express approaching the 404 Collectors to Avenue Road, where problems in the collectors have cleared cleared away. Now, beyond that, it's heavy west 401, approaching your Ontario collectors to west of Mavis and from west of 25 to approaching Guelph line. Also, quite a bit of volume on the eastbound 401 through Guelph line from Winston Churchill to Mavis. You'll find delays from the 427 to the Allen Express to Keele in the collectors, and still a crash eastbound 401 approaching Markham Road in the collectors, affecting the right lane and shoulder. Emergency crews are on scene. It's jammed from McCowan in the collectors. You'll find it heavy north on the Don Valley Parkway from Don Mills to York Mills, and some volume on the southbound 404 through 16th Avenue. Southbound 404 Don Valley is heavy approaching Shepherd over the 401 to south of Lawrence as well. If you're traveling out of downtown, expect delays on the westbound Gardner, first of all through that construction from the Don Valley Parkway all the way out to west of Jameson and from the Humber Bridge to Royal York. Westbound QEW remains busy from the 427 to west of Cawthra, and there's a bunch of the Guelph line as well. The eastbound QE Gardner looks to Royal Windsor from south end to Dixie. You'll find it slow on the eastbound Gardner from the Humber Bridge in towards the Spadina ramp, and from Spadina to Jarvis. So pretty much slow on the eastbound Gardner all the way into downtown. We have a police investigation which has closed Todd Bayless and Industry Street and Trethewey and Black Creek. So pretty early to avoid right now. Wake up your savings with our scary good rates. Visit Alterna.ca to learn more. Your next report at 4:31. And now with the forecast, here's Michelle Mackey.
Christine, dress warm if you are heading out tonight. Evening temperatures just over the freezing mark with a wind chill of -3 at this time. I think I'll stay in. Thank you very much. Overnight, we could see some passing showers, perhaps some wet snow mixed in there as well. Average high should be 8 degrees tomorrow. We're a bit closer with a high of 6, but we do have the risk of some afternoon showers. And get ready for another wintry Monday. The high only -1. You couple that with a developing system moving in for the afternoon, and we could see 5 to 10 centimeters of snow for the evening commute. If you don't have your snow tires on, get them this weekend. Tuesday, we clear out, but it will likely be the coldest day we've had so far this season.
I know it's ripped to shit. That's from the cops with their
-4
fucking
and a
kitchen
wind
knife.
chill of -11. No, thank you. Currently 3 degrees at Pearson.
They didn't reckon it's still warm, but look at it, rip the fuck up.
Tonight's overnight low
The knife
is 3
is
degrees.
fucking long.
It only takes one person to change the world. The McLean's Power
On the other videos, you can see this shit, watch it for yourself, man.
Heroes who made
I don't need
history.
to make this
From
shit
the
up.
World War II double agent who saved D-Day to the greatest financial whistleblower of all time. This special 6-episode series, produced in partnership with Frequency Podcast Network, is brought to you by the latest season of Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan, only on Amazon Prime Video. Subscribe to The Power of One for free at frequencypodcastnetwork.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Coming up at 4:30, the Toronto Police 12 Division headquarters has now been roped off as a crime scene after a man walked into the police station near Black Creek Drive and Trethewey with critical gunshot wounds. We'll give you the latest on that story and more. That's coming up at the bottom of the hour.
680 News Time, 424.
With the official launch of the 680 News Extreme Weather Center, you guessed the first snowfall of the season.
Now, how much do you think we'll get in November?
Take your guess at November's total snowfall at Pearson Airport for your chance to win a premium Simplicity snowblower.
If you guess closest to the official amount, you could win one of 2 multi-function Simplicity snowblowers courtesy of Hitch City. More than just hitches.
Get all the details and enter now at 680news.com/contest.
This portion of the news is brought to you by Alpine Credits. A new Christmas-themed rom-com is making its theatrical debut this weekend.
The holiday comedy Last Christmas, starring Emilia Clarke, Heather Golding, and Emma Thompson, hit theaters this weekend. The story mixes current social issues with a love story. Thompson, who also wrote the movie, talked to us about what she wanted viewers to take away from it.
I mean, really what I want from this movie is for everyone to go out feeling like they've been hugged and that they feel better about everything to do with being human, because actually we are marvellous. We can accept and love and tolerate one another to an extraordinary degree, and we need to remind ourselves of that at the moment.
Last Christmas is out now. Jason Nathanson, ABC News, Hollywood.
Hello, Alpine Credits.
You're the guys that say approved, right?
Yes, sir.
I want to lose weight, so I told my buddies I'm going to switch from beer to white wine, and they did not approve. You will?
We only approve homeowners for loans, for renovations, consolidating debt, that type of thing.
Perchance rosé.
Oh, listen to your buddies, my friend.
At Alpine Credits, we try to approve all home equity loan applications, regardless of your credit, age, or income. Find out more at alpinecredits.ca. Alpine Credits. Homeowners get approved. Fiscal license 12616.
At Lowe's, we have everything you need for your renos for less.
My dream living room has natural oak hardwood floors, crown molding, a cozy reclining sofa, and a massage therapist who gives me unlimited foot rubs.
Well, just about everything. From Friday to Monday at Lowe's, get 20% off when you spend $299 or more. Plus, with Price Match, get an extra 10% off if you find a lower price. Conditions apply. Do it right for less. Start with Lowe's.
680 News Time 426. Now the business report.
I'm Irene Precklett. While being at the office can be stressful, sometimes just getting there is half the battle. That's the finding of a new survey from Robert Half. Shelley Passingham is a branch manager for the staffing firm. It says the survey found 35% of Canadian professionals find traveling to and from work stressful.
And 36% of workers
You're driving.
their commute is too long, from up to 28% in a similar survey that we actually ran 2 years ago.
The survey also found professionals spend an average of 53 minutes commuting per day, and more than a quarter say their travel time is more than an hour.
And I think that there's a few things that employers can take a look at, certainly in terms of offering opportunities to work remotely. Sitting down with the employees to really understand if there are some scheduling modifications that they can make with the actual shift hours, subsidizing parking or fuel costs, whether it's public transit, are they able to subsidize the cost of transportation to and from work? So there are a few things that certainly employers can think about.
She says those changes can help companies retain people frustrated by the commute.
So I think flexible schedules, even more so now, where we're in such a tight labor market, is so important. You know, many companies are increasingly offering modified schedules. So it could be anything from a 4-day work week, 4.5-day work week where you can leave early on Fridays, starting a little bit later, leaving a little bit earlier if you start earlier. So there's a few things that employers can actually consider and look at.
That's Shelley Passingham, a branch manager at Robert Half. At the Business Center, I'm Irene Precklett. At Indigo Chapters and Kohl's, we have a gift waiting just for you. Get 10 times the phone points when you spend $40 or more, in-store or online. On now until November 10th. Some exclusions apply. Visit indigo.ca for details.
You know, it'd be great if emergencies and cash flow both cooperated at the same time, but life doesn't work that way. If you find yourself needing some extra money right now, if you loan your car or your home, get a loan. Borrow up to $30,000 from Prudent Financial. Approval in minutes and money shortly afterwards. Get a loan that's part of a credit rebuilding program and is way cheaper than a payday loan. Go to prudentfinancial.net or call 416-634-2020. 634-2020. prudentfinancial.net.
At Indigo Chapters and Kohl's, we have a gift waiting just for you. Get 10 times the phone points when you spend $40 or more, in-store or online. On now until November 10th. Some exclusions apply. Visit indigo.ca for details.
It's time for the 680 News Business Travelers Forecast, brought to you by Lalonde Personal Injury Lawyers. Denied or cut off your long-term disability benefits? Get them back on track with the long-term disability experts at Lalonde Personal Injury Lawyers. Visit hamiltonlawyers.com to book your free consultation.
Boston, overcast, 7 degrees. Washington, D.C., a clear sky, and 10. And in downtown Toronto, at this very moment, it is overcast, 4 degrees, feeling like -2. It's 4:30.
Number one for news in Toronto. This is 680 News.
Here are Asher Ross and Caitlin Lee. Good afternoon. It's Saturday, November the 9th.
And good afternoon. Here's what's making news right now.
A police station has become a crime scene in the city's West End after a man walked in with life-threatening gunshot wounds.
Provincial Health Minister Christine Elliott responds to a protest. Hundreds of people asking for more money, less cuts towards public health services.
Last week,
more money. Well, we can't stop them from blowing the money and taking it whenever they want.
Our veterans ahead of Remembrance Day on Monday.
A confusing weekend for subway riders. The TTC is closing 2 different parts of Line 1, the Young University line, today and tomorrow.
The Leafs host the Philadelphia Flyers, part of Hockey Night in Canada tonight, and the Raptors update the Kyle Lowry and Serge Ibaka injuries. Sports at 45.
And coming up in business, starting from the bottom, now higher than ever, Drake announcing he's coming out with his own line of cannabis. We're looking at why it's key for cannabis companies to eat.
Why? Motherfucker he smokes weed now, eh? Because all his gangbanger friends do. 7 grams up in a blunt. Okay, why? Because all you fucking lames are sucking off one dude's blood, and the weed sucks. I'll show you 7 grams sometime, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Emergency cruiser on scene, and eastbound 401 slow going from Winston Churchill to Mavis, 427 to Keel, alternately expressing collectors, and jammed from McCowan over to approaching Markham Road in the collectors. On the westbound 401, there's a slowdown through Kennedy in the collectors, Warden to Avenue Road, alternately expressing collectors. Westbound 401 is also heavy, approaching your Ontario collectors to west of Mavis, and from about Highway 25 to approaching Guelph Line. Northbound Don Valley Parkway still looking slow from Don Mills to York Mills, and southbound 404 Don Valley, that's heavy approaching Shepherd over the 401 to south of Lawrence. Leaving downtown, you'll find delays on the westbound Gardner from the Don Valley Parkway to west of Jameson, and from the Humber Bridge to Royal York, so a slow go heading out of the city. Westbound QEW, it's heavy going from the 427 to west of Cawthra and through Guelph Line as well. And expect delays on the eastbound QE Gardner from Trafalgar to Royal Windsor, from east of southbound to Dixie, from the Humber Bridge to Dufferin, and quite slow from Spadina to Jarvis. 407 ETR is the fast, safe, and reliable choice for small business, saving businesses over 7.7 million hours each year. 407 ETR, better for your bottom line. Your next report is at 4:41. Now with the forecast,
Keep pumping that money out of the country, man.
Christine, it's another cold and chilly night. The wind chill -2 right now. I did not wear a hat and mitts today. Don't make my mistake. You need the winter gear if you're heading out this evening. Cloudy at this time, and a bitter wind out of the south, gusting between 40 and 60 kilometers an hour. It's more of a southwest wind, I suppose, at this time. We could see rain from mid through the overnight, especially after midnight. It's currently 3 degrees at Pearson and 4 downtown under mostly cloudy skies. Tonight's overnight low is 3 degrees.
680 news time, 4:33.
Breaking news, EMS. Pardon me, we begin with breaking news in the city's West End, where a man has been transported to hospital after walking into a police station with a gunshot wound. Police tell 680 News the man arrived at 12th Division suffering serious injuries.
A man had been shot outside of the police station. At this time, we were unaware of where he was shot, but he walked into the police station suffering from a gunshot wound. As a result, we contacted Toronto paramedics, and subsequently he was...
They don't want to say he got shot next to a police station. They don't want to say that.
That's Police Constable Alex Lee. He says there is a road closure at Todd Bayless Boulevard at Industry Street and Truthui Drive at Black Creek Drive for the investigation.
And the police station has been roped off and a crime scene has now been established. Police are currently investigating and have released no information on any suspects. Stay with 680 News for more on this developing story.
And we have more breaking news from North York, where paramedics say 3 people have suffered injuries following a 2-alarm fire. 2 children and an adult were removed from a home in the area of Parkwoods Village Drive and Colvermere Drive shortly after 3 o'clock this afternoon. Police tell 680 News an adult and child have been rushed to a trauma center with life-threatening injuries. A second child is being assessed by paramedics. Fire Captain David Eckerman says the fire has been contained.
We've since got the fire knocked down and done a secondary search, which has proved to be clear.
Ackerman adds the fire is still active.
680 News time.
What does knocked down mean?
35. Outraged over incoming
I get knocked down, I'm still active. I guess
services. Over 50 organizations and hundreds of people gathered at Nathan Phillips Square earlier today, sending a message to the Ford government. 680's Jordan Reed attended today's rally and has more from Ontario's health minister.
Natalie Merritt, the executive director of the Ontario Health Coalition, led the protest, saying no to cuts that would impact local ambulance services and long-term care. Provincial Health Minister Christine Elliott said that's not the case.
I would say that is all completely incorrect. We are actually looking at making the changes to the technology for our ambulance services to make sure that they're going to be able to respond.
Don't change the technology, stupid.
That's something that's also not being changed. That's going to be increasing by 4% next year.
Protesters argue that the cuts are real and will rally every Saturday.
Healthcare is a universal right. Those of us that are here today and many across the
province believe that, and he has done nothing but slash and cut and slash and cut.
Health Minister Christine Elliott said she would be available to Natalie Mera to talk facts. I'm Jordan Reed.
680 News Time, 4:36. If you're relying on the subway to get from point A to point B this weekend, you might get stuck on a shuttle bus. 680 Charlene Close tells us each day, Line 1, the Young University line, is getting its own closure because of signal work. No trains are running today between St. Clair West and King stations. Shuttle buses are stopping at each station along the route. And if you get lost trying to figure out where to get on or off one of those buses, TTC staff are there to help. DuPont Station is closed, but all the other ones are still open, so you can access the surface routes. Tomorrow, there won't be any service between Bloor-Yonge and Osgood stations. Again, the shuttle buses will be on the road, and all of the affected subway stations will be open. I'm Charlene Close.
680 News Time, 4:37. The Royal Canadian Legion has come up with a clever and an unusual way to get young people interested in the Canadians who fought for our freedom. 680's Joey Keeney has
what all the Indians weren't allowed in the Legion,
most popular video games is partnering with the Royal Canadian Legion to teach young people about Remembrance Day. Remembrance Island is a special map where players will be able to see digital recreations of First World War trenches, D-Day beaches, and the Vimy Ridge Memorial, as well as other important moments in Canada's military history. The game's combat features will be turned off while players are on the island, meaning this section of the game will be violence-free. The only objective in this mode is to discover the 30 museum-like information plaques and follow a trail of poppies to a memorial where players are asked to stand for a moment of silence and share images or video using the hashtag #SaluteThePoppy. For the code on how to access Remembrance Island in your copy of Fortnite, head to 680news.com. I'm Joey Keeney.
680 News Time, 4:38. The Raptors will be without two of their most important players when the team squares off with ex-teammate Kawhi Leonard Monday in Los Angeles. It's been announced that both Kyle Lowry and Serge Ibaka will be out indefinitely due to injuries sustained in Friday's win against the Pelicans. Lowry suffered a fractured thumb after going for a rebound in last night's game. Ibaka, meanwhile, landed awkwardly on his ankle and left shortly after. Lowry is second on the team in points per game and second in assists. The Raptors will face LeBron James and the Lakers tomorrow night at Staples Center.
Well, in much better news from the wide world of sports, another championship parade could be coming to the city. 680 Zach Bodenstein explains.
Whether you watch it for the outrageous commentary, he could shave a mouse in his sleep and not disturb it. Amazing. Or you want to witness more Toronto sports history, all are welcome to watch TFC's MLS Cup final match versus Seattle on Sunday on the cinema-sized screen at the Rec Room on Bremner for free. If this matchup sounds familiar, it is. It's the third time in the last 4 years that these two teams have battled for the big prize. Only this time, the game is south of the border. TFC won the title in 2017, but lost in penalty kicks the year before. Tomorrow's match gets going at 3 p.m. I'm Zach Bodenstein.
In 30 seconds, we'll check the prices at the pump.
680 News Time, 4:39.
Here's to Toronto. Here's to those who never stop cheering. To the lovers of dinosaurs, birds, and leaves. To those who drink cold beer on a cold day. To those who bleed blue. Here's to Ed, Roy, and Alexandra. To the theaters that take us to another place.
They ain't gonna tell us nothing else, Eastman. I got shit to do, so bye, motherfuckers.
Now the 680 News gas price update. Info predicts the price will rise this at midnight to $16.9 a liter at most GTA stations. Traffic and weather is next.
680 News Time, 4:40.